Good morning. How are you doing this fine day? Me? Oh, still scanning the rearview mirror for a viable competitor. Still just seeing a trail of my own dust. But thanks for asking. We've got a packed and unusually serious show for you today. So let's roll the intro and make a start. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I'm your host, Mark Anthony. It's Tuesday, the 20th of July, and as that weird guy just said, welcome to the New Look Breakfast Show. I'm your host, Mark Anthony. In today's show, a pre-inquest hearing into the Didcot demolition disaster is scheduled for noon today. Hitachi is getting ready to connect. Research shows that construction has the second lowest percentage of self-employed workers. And we look ahead to the premiere of a world-exclusive look at the latest demolition excavator offering from the mighty Volvo. If you've got any comments or questions about these subjects or about anything else for that matter, please leave them in the chat and I will get to them just as soon as I possibly can. But first, let's pause to consider the number of trees destroyed to make the birthday cards sent to all those environmentally aware celebrities today. And its many happy returns to the first man to scale Mount Everest, Sir Edmund Hillary, to author Cormac McCarthy, to World Cup winning footballer Roger Hunt, to legendary guitarist Carlos Santana, and to Paul Cook, drummer with the Sex Pistols, who today qualifies for his free bus pass. How the hell did that happen? Happy birthday to them, one and all. At noon today, a pre-inquest review of the Didcot disaster is scheduled to be heard at the Coroner's Court in Oxfordshire. That review comes 1,974 days after a part of the boiler house at the Didcot A power station collapsed while undergoing demolition. 4 demolition workers lost their lives that day. And it is to the eternal shame of the UK authorities that the families of Michael Collins, Ken Cresswell, Christopher Huxtable and John Shaw are still waiting for answers. Sadly, I fear that today's hearing, which has been allocated just 30 minutes of court time, will provide neither clarity nor closure. Before I go on, let's take a look back at a bit of the film we produced to mark the 5th anniversary of the Didcot tragedy earlier this year.
I'm standing at the entrance to Didcot A. As John was saying there, this is the site that is being decommissioned. Some cooling towers remaining. And here at the entrance, a tight police cordon.
Fire and rescue teams from around the country are helping in this operation. One demolition worker is confirmed dead, and rescuers do not hold out much hope for the 3 who are still missing.
The body of Mick Collins was recovered almost immediately, before the health and safety executive threw a cordon around the entire site. The remains of the 3 other men would lay undiscovered for more than 6 months. They would not be recovered until after the remains of the collapsed boiler house had been felled in a controlled explosion on the morning of the 17th of July 2016. On the 31st of August 2016, 190 days after the boiler house collapsed, it was confirmed that a body had been found in the rubble. On the 3rd of September, that body was identified as Christopher Huxtable. On the 8th of September 2016, police confirmed they'd found the body of another of the remaining 2 missing men. On the 9th of September, the body was formally identified as that of Ken Cresswell. The last missing worker was found on the same day. He was identified as John Shaw. 199 days had elapsed since the day of the accident. I'd been driving home when I first heard news reports of an incident at the Didcot power station. Even though I'd been there several times at that point, my mind just didn't make the connection. It was only when I got home and my phone started to ring that I realised that the incident was demolition related. One of the things I remember from that day was how everyone was so careful in their use of language. For most of the day, Everyone referred to men that were unaccounted for. It was only towards the end of the day that anyone dared utter the word missing. I came here to see Sky TV, but as my interview with Sky TV ended, somebody from the BBC approached me and asked me to do an interview with them. When I finished with the BBC, I was asked to do one with ITV, and then with Channel 4. I did about 20 media interviews a day after the accident. I've probably done about another 50 since. That's hundreds and hundreds of questions, and I fielded all of them. But I haven't answered any. There were no answers on the day after the accident. I still don't have any answers. Sadly, painfully, and tragically, neither does anybody else. So there's an inquest hearing today, and if you're thinking we've been here before, you're absolutely right. There was an inquest back in January 2018 that said the incident could be the subject of a manslaughter case. 3.5 years later, and there's now to be a pre-inquest review. We know from previous police statements that investigators have been looking through thousands of items of evidence and collating hundreds and hundreds of witness statements. So even if today's planned hearing announced that there was to be a court case starting immediately, and I very much doubt that it will, we'd be looking at months and months for the various prosecutors and defendants to prepare their respective cases. And then, assuming it does finally and belatedly come to court, any court case will take an eternity while all this evidence is laid before a jury that knows precisely nothing about demolition. That means that any findings that might be of benefit to the hundreds of demolition contractors around the world charged with taking down the remaining 1,000 or more fossil fuel power stations will remain bogged down in red tape. Coleman and Company, the demolition contractor involved in the Didcot demolition disaster, has already carried out its own audit and believes that industry-wide practices need to be challenged and reviewed. Speaking after the inquest in January 2018, a Coleman and Company spokesperson said, "We now consider it essential to share this learning as a matter of urgency so that immediate steps can be taken within the industry to prevent further loss of life, and so the families can begin to understand what caused this dreadful accident." 3.5 years later, that still hasn't happened. And let's not forget, as we have previously reported, US authorities investigated, prosecuted, and closed a very similar case in just 17 months. From the moment the boiler house came down, the health and safety executive should have had just 3 priorities: recovering the bodies of the missing men, providing the families of those men with some kind of explanation and a degree of closure, and identifying the cause of the incident to avoid it being repeated. Instead, from the very outset, the HSE has been focused solely upon appointing blame and securing a successful prosecution. That pursuit has prolonged and exacerbated the agony of the families of the 4 men, and it's endangered the lives of the demolition men and women here and around the world that are tackling the demolition of the remaining 1,000 or more fossil-fueled power stations. I'm genuinely not expecting the hearing today to move us any closer to a conclusion. In fact, if we're still having this conversation in 2023, I would not be in the least bit surprised. Now, I realise that I probably sound like a broken record when it comes to Didcot. I've been beating this drum for 5.5 years now. Trust me, I wish I could stop talking about it. But if I didn't, who would? Those that should are apparently far too busy with their little Zoom meetings. Also, it's worth looking at the bigger picture. In the immediate aftermath of the Didcot disaster, the whole of the demolition and construction industry here in the UK seemed to pause, seemed more focused on health and safety. There was a very real hope that the disaster, tragic as it was, might act as a catalyst for industry-wide change. It's probably no coincidence that 2017, the year after the Didcot disaster, recorded the lowest number of industry fatalities ever. Sadly, as you're about to hear, the industry has a very short memory. This is a clip from a video by Ben Byrne over at Ashview Consultants. Ben's been a guest on the show in the past. This speaks for itself.
Hi. I don't know if you've managed to have a look yet at the HSA review of workplace injuries, illnesses and fatalities yet, but it is a sobering read. Even with the few months that we had lockdown in most industries, there were still 53 people died in workplace accidents. 15 of those incidents occurred in the construction industry. I note in 2017 there were 5 fatalities in the construction industry, and ever since then they've been steadily increasing. With that in mind, it still remains that work at height and interaction with vehicles remains the most hazardous.
Many thanks to Ben for allowing us to share this extremely timely film. If you'd like to know more, you can contact Ben and his colleagues over at www.ashviewconsultants.com.
The Miller GT series heralds a new era of unrivaled power and cutting-edge intelligent coupler technology, increasing job site safety, machine versatility, and productivity. It's the added versatility that you need at the value you can afford. To find out more, visit millergroundbreaking.com.
We are now roughly 32 hours, actually it's about 31 and a half hours from the hotly anticipated Connect with Hitachi virtual event. As we reported last week, the event will reveal more about the Xaxis 7 line of medium excavators, and it's also expected to feature some of the latest technology developed by Hitachi. To take part in what promises to be a superb event, you do need to pre-register. I've added a link in the chat. Have I added a link in the chat? I think I probably have now. No, yeah, I have now. While you're signing up to pre-register for that event, as I say, it does look to be very, very good. Here's a little teaser to whet your appetite. I've just realised I've got my maths slightly wrong. Actually, that's on Thursday night at 6 p.m, but you can find all the details over on the link. I think it's going to be a great event, and I look forward to seeing you over there. New research has revealed that construction, and by association demolition, has the second lowest percentage of self-employed women in the UK. Just 3.9% of the industry's self-employed workers are female. That equates to 37,000 self-employed women in the sector compared to more than 900,000 self-employed men. The research analysed government data to discover the industries that are seeing the most and the least female entrepreneurs. The electricity, gas and air conditioning supply industry is exclusively ruled by men, with no women self-employed within the industry compared to more than 9,000 men. Construction, transport and storage, and mining and quarrying industries also have very small numbers of self-employed women, instead of being dominated by men. The concern here, I guess, is that this could potentially have a knock-on effect. There's nothing to suggest that female entrepreneurs would be more likely to employ other women, but they would certainly understand the additional challenges faced by women in this sector. So an upward shift in the number of self-employed women is surely a way to keep in step with addressing the need for a greater gender imbalance within this sector. Railway Street in Altrincham is about to get some additional new housing, comprising both mews houses and apartments. But before work can commence, the side and rear extensions of an existing public house, together with a bowling green pavilion, require demolition. How British does that sound? A pub and a bowling green pavilion about to come down. PH Property is among the main contractors vying for the new build portion of the £3.5 million project, but a suitable contractor has yet to be appointed. You can find out more about this project lead and many more just like it over at buildersconference.co.uk.
Sorry to interrupt the guy with the funny glasses, but if you're enjoying this video, please hit the like button as it helps our channel. Or, better still, share this video with a friend or a colleague. Thank you. Right, back to Beardy.
Right, unless there's any other business, I will declare this episode of the Breakfast Show over and done with and adjourned. I will roll the outro in just a second before hopping over into the chat to see what you all have to say. But don't forget, tonight at 6 p.m, we will be dropping our exclusive video interview on the Volvo EC300E and EC380E straight boom demolition excavators. Glad I had enough breath for that one. This is actually a world demolition, a world exclusive film, so you won't want to miss that. The film will drop simultaneously on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn and Instagram, and of course over on demolitionnews.com as well. Oh, and keep an eye out for me, and an ear out for me actually, on the BBC. I was interviewed earlier today by BBC Radio Oxford on the Didcot pre-inquest hearing subject. I haven't heard it myself, but I'm reliably informed that it is available on the BBC Sounds app if you'd like to hear it. I've also pre-recorded an interview on the same subject for BBC TV South. Unfortunately, I don't know when that one is likely to air, although my guess is either today or tomorrow in the aftermath of that inquest. Speaking of that hearing, if anything of note comes out today, I will likely hit the go live button to bring you the latest as we get it. Failing that, I'll be back here again, same place, same time, same place on the morrow. Until then, have a great day. I do realise that today's show has been a little more sombre than usual, but with each new step in the never-ending Didcot saga, I am reminded of those 4 working men that walked through the gates at the Didcot A power station and who never walked out. So with that in mind, please, 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 please stay safe. Look after yourself, your family, your friends and your colleagues. And thanks for watching.